You already have sound in your game, lucky you. But what if your players want to change the volume? They can't? Well, by the end of this video, you'll have a powerful and customizable, simple audio volume menu for your game. In the description, I left the project files for this tutorial if you don't already have a project with sound volume set up. This way, you can follow along with me even if you're not ready to implement in your own game. In order for your sound menu to work, we need to know what sound is what type. This is where sound classes come in. You'll go to the folder that holds all of your sound files, then right-click and select Sounds, Classes, Sound Class, and make one for each of your types of sounds. This tutorial will have 3, so I will make one called SFX Ambient, one called SFX Music, and a final one called SFX Effect. Next, we'll add a sound class mix so the classes can work together. To do that, right-click and select Sound, then Classes, then select Sound Class Mix, and name it Main Sound Mix. Then open it up. Under Sound Classes, select on the plus icon 3 times for our 3 classes and fill them in, then you can save and close. Now, under all your sounds, you need to classify them. To do that, open up the sound, then under class, select a class. I will set the explosion to SFX effects, the bird sound to SFX ambient, and the music to SFX music. Sure to save each one. Now we need to make the audio settings UI. To do that, make a new folder called UI, then in it, make a new UI by right-clicking and selecting User Interface, then Widget Blueprint. In the pop-up box, select User Widget, then name it Audio Menu, and open it. We will start by dragging out a canvas panel, followed by a border. Under brush color, set the transparency to 0.2 and the color to black. Then, under anchors, set them to stretch, set the left and right offset to 200 and the top and bottom offset to 100. Next, add a vertical box in the border. Then, add a text block with the words Audio Menu, center justified, with size 56. Follow that by a spacer set to fill and 0.2. Then add 4 horizontal boxes under the vertical box. Set the bottom box to bottom align vertically and size to fill. Then add a button set to fill and center align horizontally and vertically. Name the button Apply. Inside the button, add a text block that says Apply Changes. Set the font to 36. In the other 3 horizontal boxes, add a text block that is set to Fill 4.0, change the font to 48, then center align the text, and name them the 3 audio types. One for ambient, one for music, and one for effects. Then add sliders to each of these horizontal boxes, and set them to fill 6.0. Name the sliders after the proper sound they control. I will name mine Ambient Slider, Music Slider, and Effects Slider. Then you can save and compile. If you're finding this tutorial helpful, please consider subscribing and ringing the bell for more weekly UE5 videos. Now we can go back in the content browser and right-click and select Blueprint class, then search for Save Game. Here we will save our volume setting. Next, open it up and add a new variable called sound volumes and set the type to float array. Then compile and add 3 array elements, set them to 1 by default. Then you can compile, save, and close it. Back in the widget, we can go to the graph, and from event construct, we want to search for a set base sound mix node and choose our sound mix. Then get a does save game exist node and set the slot name to save game. Then do a branch, and from the true, drag out a load game from spot node, set to save game as the slot name. Next, cast to that save using a cast to save game node. Then from it, drag out a get sound volume node. Next, drag out a for each node. And from the array index, we want to drag out a switch node. Then press the plus button 3 times for the 3 types of sounds. Next, drag out the variables for the sliders. Then, from them, drag out set nodes. Then, connect the value to the array element pin and connect to the execute path. Next, we want to go to the designer and select the apply button, then select the on-click event to add it. From it, drag out a create save game object node and select the top save game class. Next, from the return value, drag out a get sound volumes node. From it, drag out a set array elements node and do that 3 times for each type of audio. Then connect the execute path in a row from one to the next, and set the indices counting up from 0. Then, for the item, you can drag out the sliders and connect them using a get value node. And those connect to the set nodes. Once you do that, you want to drag out a save game to slot node and use the same name as before and set the save game object to the return value 4. Then drag out a load save game from slot node and cast to that save. Next, as the save, we can use a get sound volumes node, and now we can actually apply these settings. We'll then take out a for each node and then a switch node with 3 pins. From each, drag out a set sound mix class override node. Next, for all of them, set the sound mix modifier to the one we made before, and set the sound class to be in the same order as you saved and loaded the variables from before. Then, for volume, you can just drag from array element and set the fade in time to 0, so it changes instantly. Then, you can save and compile. Now we need to set it up such that our settings are loaded on GameStart. To do this, go to your map and under the blueprint symbol, select Open Level Blueprint. Then, from Event Begin Play, you want to drag out a Set Base Sound Mix node, set to the sound mix. Then drag out a Does Save Game Exist node, set to the same slot, followed by a branch node. Then from the true, drag out a Load Save Game from slot node and cast to the save game. Then back in the audio menu blueprint, we want to copy the code we just made for setting the volume and paste it in the level blueprint. Then connect the reference and execute pins and save, compile, and close it. Now that we have the sound menu working, we need to make sure our character can use that. To do that, go to your character blueprint and right-click and search for the escape event. From it, drag out a flip-flop node. Next, from the A pin, drag out a create widget node. Set it to the audio menu widget we made. Next, from the return value, drag out an add to viewport node. Then we need to right-click and search for a get player controller node. And from the return value, drag out a set show mouse cursor node and set it to true. Then drag out a deactivate movement node. Next, from the B pin of the flip-flop, drag out a remove all widgets node, followed by a set show mouse cursor node, set to false, and follow it with an activate movement node. Finally, save and compile. Go back to your game to test it. You may need to set it to run as a standalone game to prevent the exit key from booting you out of the simulation. To do that, select the 3 dots, then select standalone game from the drop-down. It'll take a second to load. Thanks for watching. By now you should have a fully working audio menu. If you want to support me, please consider subscribing and ringing the bell for weekly content. If you want to support me financially, you can become a Patreon on Patreon for early access to all my videos. Take your menu to the next level. You can watch the video appearing now, which goes over making a setting menu for all the other settings you may need. Any questions or comments, please leave them below or in my Discord server. Have a great day, and bye for now.